seen it.
Welcome to Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt of the Marquardt Law Firm at marquardtlawfirm.com.
Welcome back to Talk Law Radio. Our mission is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about the law on the radio. And this week, I'm here live in San Antonio on February 15th, 2025. Next week, I'm going to be absent, and Shannon is going to be hosting the show, and she's going to say the mission.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, well, tell us more about what your understanding of Talk Law Radio is. I'm going to go over here and get something out of my bag. Come on.
Serving to help you find your legal issue blind spots by listening to me talk about them on the radio. Without Todd, possibly, and that's going to be very scary. very
and
scary.
By the way, in the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then he gave Moses the 10 Commandments. And now we have municipal, state, and federal lawmakers that won't stop making new laws. Laws that impact you without you knowing it. Like copyright laws. So this is the fourth segment. I wanted to talk about legacy.
And now, it's time for the Talk Law Radio Legacy Spotlight. What's your legacy? Sponsored
Okay,
by Marquardt
so
Law
today's
Firm.
legacy segment, I wanted to bring up this book. Do y'all recognize this book?
No, I don't.
This book, called Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy, was made famous when, in a game against the Green Bay Packers, Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown was seen reading this book on the sideline. You know, full uniform, just came off the field. He's just like this.
Wow.
And
what a great ad.
Interesting.
Yeah, this book has become so famous because of it. And so I wanted to say this is going to be part of A.J. Brown's legacy.
Yeah.
Jim Murphy's book just got way more popular.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to read
amazing.
it. Jim Murphy was an athlete, and so it's a book written for athletes and how to.
I love the
become
cover. You can't
excellent.
judge a book by a cover, but that's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, so that's all I really wanted to say about legacy. We still have some other things to talk about. J.D. Vance, whether you like him or you don't like him, he went to Paris for some sort of artificial intelligence summit. And the big news was that the United States didn't sign on to some pledge to promote AI accessibility to reduce digital divides. But here are some questions that came to my mind. Should the AI be owned by the government? Should AI be owned by a nonprofit organization like OpenAI? How should AI be regulated? You guys have any thoughts on that?
And should it be regulated? Should it, and how?
Right. Well, one of the things the news was saying about J.D. Vance is that he's went to this summit to tell the Europeans that their regulations were slowing things down, that they need to release some of those regulations to allow the marketplace to be more creative.
Well, I'll answer first, just so Ed looks even smarter after he speaks after me. I don't know, obviously this is not my area, but when I'm talking to people that it is their area, and I always like to ask about this, they're saying they wish they could go slower, that this is something brand new, that humans have never been at this spot before in the whole history of humanity, and they would prefer to go slower, but they can't because if they don't do it, then the competition will do it. You know, we're not working in unison as humans.
Right.
We're working in competition with each other.
Right.
And
we're in a race against China.
And from what they are saying, people that are saying that they're experts, there is a danger. There is something, it's an unknown.
Right. But the marketplace should be able to come up with a defense, right?
Well, I think so. It kind of brings in a lot of different philosophies, I think. I do believe in free market competition for sure. And so therefore would kind of tend to go against the government regulation. I also do think that there's some dangers involved with AI basically what AI does is it makes things easier, right? People want to take a shortcut to something.
Oh,
okay?
Did you get my text with my voice? I made a clone of my voice.
Right, because
in 30 seconds.
She wanted to see
if I could fool you.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, it's there's some dangers there. I saw a video not too long ago about a college coach that was talking. It was totally AI generated, and you could tell. You could watch the video. You could see his lips moving, and they were moving kind of funny in different parts. So you could tell it was AI, right? But what's going to happen when we get to the point where you can no longer tell, right? I do believe there's some dangers there. There's kind of some give and take with respect to my belief in kind of a free market system versus the need for regulation. It's definitely an interesting frontier.
I think on one of the social media platforms, I can't remember which one, has a rule that if you post something with AI, you have to disclose that. So that's like some self-regulation within the market.
Sure, but then there's going to have to be there has to be follow-up, right? So if somebody does that and they violate those terms of use, which is just essentially a contract, someone is the social media platform prepared to go pursue someone who violated that or breached that contract?
They have a button you have to push, and if you don't, then they don't show your video.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about.
I guess it's done all, behind the scenes, but they just don't push it out. I don't know how good it is at catching each one.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, well, some other news that made me think of the Urantia book is what you brought up, Shannon, astrology.
Oh yeah,
because
let's talk about that.
The psychiatrist was essentially talking to a patient, was saying he's getting advice from the stars or from beings of other worlds.
Yeah.
And so what did you want to say about astrology?
Well, should I share that? I mean, I guess I'm into it already. There was a time that I believed in astrology. I almost can't believe that sentence is real because I don't believe in it.
You're embarrassed by it.
I'm a little embarrassed because I don't believe in astrology. If you do, I have complete respect for you. That's your choice. But I currently don't think that was a good use of my time, my money, and my energy. But, people are looking for answers. And so if there's something that claims that to provide some structure to this crazy ball of dirt we're spinning on, people are going to be looking for that,
Well, I think people are going to ask AI.
I do
kind of
too.
like the magic 8-ball.
Yes.
Should I ask Susie out on a date?
I worry about that because we might be the last generation that understands that Google is not a person, because we've been to a library, we've gone and gotten the book, and pulled it out and found the card catalog and all that. But Google is just kind of like a big internet library. I mean, can we think of it like that?
Yeah.
So if you say, what should I have for lunch, Google?
It just gives you a list of restaurants.
Yeah, but it's not. But this generation, we might at some point have a generation where they don't even remember that. I don't know how to explain it, but it's very weird.
Yeah, it is. Well, it kind of makes me think about what you were talking about on the estate planning seminars you've gone to, and they say create these books using AI, and then also your discussion about legacy, right? And I do really think that's where a hidden legal blind spot is. So let's say if you decide, okay, I'm going to create something using AI because it's easier, right? I mean, everyone wants to save time. They want to take a shortcut. Well, at least under the copyright laws, the way that they exist right now, you don't have any protection for that. So you may not be leaving any type of legacy because you don't have a copyright in what it is that you created through AI.
Yeah.
Right. So I do think that's a legal blind spot. Don't just assume that because you fed the inputs and you did the work to get the AI generated content, that doesn't necessarily mean you really have anything there, because someone could just go copy it and freely use it. And
Thank you for tying all this together.
Yeah.
Wow. Ed has just been sitting here quietly trying to pull everything back together in a succinct statement for the end of the show.
He did it.
That's great. No, awesome. One more fascinating thing. I'm a big fan of President Ronald Reagan. I named my first son after him. But I remembered that there was this rumor, something about jelly beans and something about an astrologer. Did you ever hear that?
Can't say that I did.
Okay, well, his chief of staff from 1988 wrote a book after he left saying that President Reagan used an astrologer. Well, it wasn't President Reagan, it was really his wife, Nancy. And the story goes that Nancy started using an astrologer after somebody tried to assassinate President Reagan. She was just so scared from losing him that she needed to have some control over, everything that was going on.
Right.
And so there would be a calendar with a street light that said whether he could leave the White House. Green, he could leave the White House. Red, he couldn't. Anyway, I just thought it was fascinating. I don't want to disparage the presidency whatsoever.
Right.
But it is an interesting story.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
So what are you going to do to help protect your clients with knowing what we know today with copyright and AI?
Well, sure. I mean, look, the fact is AI is here, right? And this kind of goes back to your question about J.D. Vance and regulation, et cetera. I mean, this is at the forefront and the cutting edge of copyright, and we haven't really talked about patents today, but it's also prevalent in the patent world. Can you patent artificial intelligence or inventions that use artificial intelligence? And what am I going to do to help my clients? I mean, I just have to continue to stay abreast of what the laws are, how they're being interpreted, and implement the best practices we can to address it. I mean, I also think that there's areas there for companies to have their own policies and procedures as it relates to artificial intelligence, right? You get concerned about infringement portions of it. Well, is your marketing and advertising department using AI to generate things? Do you know that as the company owner?
Yeah.
Do you permit it? That type of thing.
Thank you, Ed Marvin.
Yeah, very
That's
interesting.
it for today. We'll talk to you later.
This has been Talk Law Radio with attorney Todd Marquardt, brought to you by the Marquardt Law Firm. You can learn more at marquardtlawfirm.com. And be sure to listen to the full Talk Law Radio show Saturday mornings at 11 on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Each week, attorney Todd Marquardt talks about the law. His mission with the Talk Law Radio show and podcast is to help you discover your legal issue blind spots. In the beginning, God had one law. Don't eat from the fruit of that tree. Then came the 10 Commandments. Now we have federal, state, and municipal lawmakers that won't stop creating new laws. Laws that might impact you without you knowing it. Listen to the show and drop a line on Facebook or email host@talklawradio.com and let the host know what you think of the show, the topics you want to hear, and whether you want to be a guest.